Legend of Total War here, and today I just want to have a quick chat to you guys in regard to cheese, in regard to quick battles. Now, about 45 minutes ago, actually more like an hour now, I went up against Ninja Hunt in a quick battle. He was live streaming at the time, but I didn't know. And basically, I feel like there's going to be a bit of controversy around this battle, so I want to sort of make this video to sort of soften that a little bit, and to explain what's going on, and just stop a fucking hate war from beginning, okay? Because people take this shit too seriously. But anyway, okay, so Ninja Hunt shows up in the lobby, and I choose Bretonnia, and then he drops out of the battle, and I thought, oh, he either disconnected or didn't want to fight me, and I thought, it happens. I've had people drop out on me before. That's fine. And ended up just doing a quick battle with some other person, which I used the squig spam, and obviously very cheesy build. I'll be the first person to admit that. Don't expect to gain any honor points on that one, and that's fine. But straight after that battle, Ninja Hunt shows back up in the lobby, and I thought, okay, hopefully, because I really wanted to fight him. And he showed up, and this time he was willing to engage with me. Now, I'm just going to go into the custom battle here for a second here. I of course, if I'm going up against Ninja Hunt, I'm going to bring my A game. So I brought the best Bretonnian build that I know how to build, and he was going to bring greenskins. Now, before the battle even begun, there was accusations of Bretonnian peasant cheese build. Now, I don't understand this whole Bretonnian peasant cheese build. Now, There is definitely cheese in Total War Warhammer. Okay, obviously I used it in the previous battle with the squig spams, and I've explained why I do that, because I'm trying to get a message across to Creative Assembly, who ignore me for the most part, to get them to bloody put restrictions in, get them to listen to my ideas, get them to actually put these restrictions in, because a lot of people aren't having fun because of the unbalancedness of the game, and they just, they need to they did the right thing in regard to restricting 3 heroes, but they need to get on with this shit. I don't know why it takes them so long to put some restrictions in. Like, Medieval 2 has the right thing in regard to, you recruit more than 4 of a unit type, and the unit starts getting more expensive. It's a brilliant way of handling, you're spamming all cavalry. You can't do that unless you hire, lots of different cavalry. But anyway, apparently this is a peasant cheese build, but I've denied this. When it's cheese, I'll admit it's cheese. Like, my squig army, it's fucking cheese. I get that. But here's the thing, this is not cheese, okay? Because the first thing we have to understand is this, that Bretonnia has only got 11 selectable units, aside from the generals, that's available to them. So if we can count that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You've only got 11 units to choose from, and some of them are shit, okay? So, it is impossible to put one of every unit, to have only one of each unit for Bretonnia. It's the only faction that has just no diversity, pretty much. They've only got 3 different types of infantry. So, obviously, because they have no elite units, I mean, if they had some different units, maybe I'd use them, but they don't have it. So, you can't call it peasant cheese spam if all they've got are peasants, Don't blame me, blame Creative Assembly for not finishing the roster. Anyway, so the next thing is, and I never thought this would actually come to pass, people complaining that I'm not bringing cavalry. Back in Total War Attila days, and this is exactly rings true with it, and it's very face palming. People used to call me Legend of Total Cav Spam, which I didn't really consider an insult. Because I bring cavalry, and obviously you guys know I'm very good with cavalry. I like cavalry, but I'm not going to bring cavalry if it's not going to do anything for me. Because here's the thing. All 3 of these cavalry are no good against greenskins, and I'll explain why. Because every greenskin player is going to bring at least 2 units of Orc Boy Biggins. These guys are excellent anti-cav units, okay? They've got armor piercing, so my armored units don't count for shit, and they're bonus versus large. So we don't have any of that. Now, the thing is, Grail Knights, which are nearly twice as expensive as them, probably might be able to win, but they'd get absolutely wrecked in the process. And you have to think about things in regard to cost effectiveness. So if I'm going up against someone who's going to bring, better cavalry, the option is not to bring more cavalry, it's actually to bring less. If you've got a weakness, you need to take your weakness away from your army. That's, if you understand the rules of war, this is 2 principles that I live by in regard to battles. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll know the outcome of every battle. Obviously, sometimes you can't know your enemy, but I know myself. I know as Bretonia, these cavalry here, every time I've used them, they've underperformed. These guys here perform just fine most of the time. If they don't perform well, it's usually my own fault. It's not their fault. Or it's because my opponent has been very good. You know, why didn't I bring Missile Cavern? These guys? Because for one thing, they're 50% more expensive than Peasant Bowmen. They have less ammunition, technically. Actually, they do have less ammunition, so they'll dish out less damage. So really, these guys, totally not cost effective. Why don't I bring Pegasus Knights? Because these guys, Pegasus Knights are good units, but they have a specific role. Their role is to maintain air superiority, but we don't need that against Greenskins because there's only one possible unit that they'll bring that's an air unit, which is a Wyvern. And quite frankly, you know, 2 Paladins can easily take out a Wyvern, not to mention Leon Kerr if he shows up. Not to mention as well, if we have this ability unlocked, which is why I didn't use it, because I knew there was no need for it, even though it's only very cheap. We don't have to worry about air superiority, which means we don't need to worry about Pegasus Knights. Now, another thing that we need to think about is microing. The more different types of units that you have, the more you need to micro. The more things you need to look over, the more difficult it is, or the more likely you are to make a mistake. So if you limit the amount of things that you need to micro, the things that you do need to micro, you can micro a lot more efficiently. And that's my train of thought. So I leave these guys. These guys here are great because they have, you know, expert charge defense, which means you don't need to charge them into the enemy. You can allow them to sit there and still. The only time I charge them into the enemy is against the dwarves, because they do the same thing. They just sit there. And usually speaking, like, archers don't do that well against the dwarves. So, you know, I'm able to form, you know, a straight line. Or, in this case, because what Ninja Hun brought, knowing full well that I wasn't going to bring any cavalry, he brought a lot of cavalry. It specifically was squigs. I think he brought 7 squigs. I wasn't counting them, though. So when I saw what I was up against, I was like, shit. This, obviously what he's going to do is try to flank me. So what I did is take a unit on the sides, make sure my flanks are protected. I brought 2 units of spearmen. I put them around the back to protect the archers, because the archers had to be protected. I don't consider that a noob box because they're not pikemen. Like, noob box is something that was introduced ages ago. It's when people bring a pike box, because the thing is with a pike box, there is no way into it. Although I've beaten pike boxes before, and I don't have a problem with people bringing pike boxes, because, you know, there are ways around it. But anyway, so, you know, straight away into the battle. You know, I've been accused firstly of using Bretonian peasant cheese spam, which again I rebuke that. It is not cheese. Maybe it's not tournament build, but, you know, to be honest, we weren't playing in a tournament, so you can't just call everything that's not an exact tournament build cheese, because then it's a cop out in my opinion. But anyway, the second thing was, you know, doing the box, which, you know, a lot of factions, when you see that you don't have cavalry superiority, what are you going to do? You're going to protect your fucking archers, of course. You know, every time where I haven't boxed up, I've gotten myself bloody smashed. You know, at the end of the day, I'm trying to win. Why would I not do something that's going to win? Anyway, so, you know, a few accusations already been flying there. Of course, I'm not sending any his way. Of course, I've, you know, noticed that he wanted to bring a bit of cheese in regard to spamming squigs, which I didn't have a problem with because I knew I could deal with it. But anyway, after the battle, I'm not going to say who won or lost that battle, but the video was coming out 20 minutes after this. It's a good watch, I think, maybe. We'll see. But anyway, after that battle, I went on to his live stream and looked. I wanted to hear, because I could tell there was a lot of hostility in the comments. You know, he didn't fight the battle to the finish. Oh shit! I've just told you then who won. But anyway, and there was a bit of, you know, comments complaining throughout the thing, which, you know, I can accept that. You know, there's when you've got 100 people watching you, and you're not doing a very good job. Well, not necessarily doing it. When you're not winning a battle, obviously a lot of pressure puts you. I've been in this situation as well, where it can be very annoying to go up against someone who's well known, and you're well known, and then you end up losing. It can be very frustrating. So I went on and watched the video because I wanted to get an idea of what he was saying, and generally speaking, it was very negative. You know, not a lot of respect from it, which is fine. You know, I don't demand respect. You know. Unfortunately, the respect, because I got a great deal of respect for Ninja Hunt, but it was not reciprocated, and that's, you know, that's fine. You know, it's something I need to get over, I suppose, and, you know, it's fine. But why am I making this video? Because I feel like I have to justify, because this was watched by 100 people, and I was able to read the comments, and generally speaking, it's a fucking hate on Legend of Total War session, where, oh, Legend of Total cheese spam, oh, he's not really that good, all he does is cheese, This is not fucking cheese, okay? There are people that use fucking 6 6 steam tanks or 6 Shaggoths or something like that. I did what was available to me. I've lost with this build. It's not unbeatable, and I've even come up with counters to that build, and I've shown people what they can do. You know, if we have a look at my vampire accounts, whoops, wrong one. That one's shit anyway. Where is it? This one here. This is my anti-me army, and I had someone use this against me before, as when I was playing as Bretonnia. You know, and I don't have a problem with that being done. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to make that video because basically I expect that when my video is going to come out of the battle, there's going to be a bit of hate on it, and I just don't understand why people take this shit so seriously when it's not a tournament. Like, to be honest, if we were fighting in a tournament and I was breaking the rules, obviously I would deserve to get disqualified, but I didn't break any rules because we weren't in a tournament. Quick battles, everyone knows quick battles are shit. The ladder doesn't mean anything, you know? I wasn't taunting him or anything like that. I was trying to be as respectful as I possibly could, you know, which is hard for me. But I felt it was a one-way street, which, you know, go thick as skin legend, it's fine, but more concerned about stopping hate in its track, because I'm going to get people complaining about, you know, just because I used my Bretonnia build, which, you know, whatever. So anyway, I just want to leave it at that. So I just also want to say good game for the to Ninja Hunt. I think he's a really great player and he deserves his ranking. I would love to fight him again someday, and if he doesn't want to fight me as Bretonnia, my response to him is that I won't use Bretonnia if he brings... which ones do I... If he brings Bretonnia, then I won't bring Bretonnia, basically, because I'm not good enough with the other factions yet. And, you know, there was people saying stuff like, well, Ninja Hunt's better with all the other factions, and yeah, well, I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I'm not the best with all the other factions. I'm really good with Bretonnia, but that's about it. Is there anything wrong with that? No, not necessarily, because in my opinion, sometimes it's better to be good at one thing than to be average at 10 things. That's my thought. So, I just want to leave that with you. The battle will come out shortly. Good game to Ninja Hunt. I enjoyed the battle, even if you didn't. I'd like to fight him again. Hopefully without the saltiness would be great. Anyway, we'll see you next time, fuckers.